excited this morning to have Laura Ward with the Nashville Chamber on the phone. She's a friend of mine and collaborator in helping adults return to school and improve their opportunities. Laura is the Senior Vice President of Talent Development at the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce, and she leads the work for the Nashville Talent Hub Illumina Foundation designation and is part of the Illumina Foundation's Federal Policy Corps, and she is very passionate about helping you as an adult find ways to improve your skill sets and improve your job and improve your life. So I'm going to turn it over to Laura.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's really great to be here with everyone today. As she said, I'm really passionate about connecting people to education and training, and talking about training and upskilling is like a nerd's dream for me. So I'm really thrilled to be here today. Everything in my presentation you will receive afterwards, and there are active links in the presentation. So whatever I talk about, you can just click on it and get access to whatever you need.
Hey, Laura,
yeah.
If I can interrupt, I apologize. If our participants have questions, if you would use the chat box to type your question, and we will allow time at the end that Laura can answer any of those.
Sure.
Thank you.
So why is it important to upskill? If you are doing a job search right now, there's lots of opportunities out there, but I think when I was putting together this presentation, I was thinking about the last recovery, and I started at the chamber as we were kind of coming out of the recovery. And in the last recovery, most of the jobs that were created, so the new jobs, required something beyond high school. So Anthony Carnevale at the Georgetown Center on Education and the Workforce is the John Bon Jovi of workforce information. And he said the number of jobs for workers with a high school diploma or less actually declined by 13%. And I know there was a time in our workforce that you could come out of high school and move into a good paying job and stay there for your entire career. And unfortunately, those jobs are fewer in number now. So why does this matter for you? In the last recovery, like I said before, jobs require something beyond high school. That doesn't mean you have to commit to a 4-year degree, but it does mean you have to have something. And education can be as little as a 3-month credential. And I'm going to talk about an example of what that might look like in just a minute. But it also requires you to understand your aptitudes. So U-Science is a tool that I use when I'm connecting adults to an education program or a new career pathway. And so when we think about upskilling, we're really thinking about jobs on a pathway. So you may enter the medical field as a CNA, but as you stack credentials, you can grow in position and wealth over time. So you start as a CNA, you spend maybe a year or two getting experience, but you can also be earning your LPN certification, or you can earn your RN. And as you grow in those jobs, you earn more money, you can build wealth, you can also gain experience for promotion. So when we're talking about careers, we really are talking about pathways, and a job is not a destination, but it's a stopping point for you to learn and upskill. U-Science is an assessment, and it's really based in aptitudes. It's not just what you're interested in or what you like or what you know you're good at, but it really is looking at what within you gives you the aptitude for something. And when I took U-Science, it said that I had aptitude in science. But when I was a sophomore in high school, I quit physics because I thought I sucked at science. So I wish that I would have had that sort of backup to say, hey, you just suck at physics, maybe you're better at other science. So I like U-Science for that. It also has a lot of different tools that you can use to build your resume, to do a job search, and all of those sorts of things. At the end of this presentation, you'll have my email address, and the first 15 people to email me, I'll give you a free U-Science assessment code. So I'll give you those instructions at the end. The other sort of concept is assessing your digital skills. we talk to a lot of students up here at the community college who think their digital skills are using their phone. And that is just not the case. Digital skills are anything from knowing how to use Microsoft Word to Microsoft Excel to understanding databases. So there's lots of different digital skills you can hold. And we know that in the recovery, most jobs are going to require some digital skills. You don't have to be a programmer, but you have to understand whether, if you're going into the service industry, how to operate a cash register, how to track inventory, you know, anything from operating a cash register to programming a computer system or working in cybersecurity. So North Star Digital Literacy Assessment will tell you where you are. It's a series of short assessments that just say, here's where you are doing well, here's where you may want to upskill. And then sharpening your digital skills is the final thing that I would recommend if you are doing a job search right now. The Goodwill Community Foundation has a ton of classes that you can do online. They're totally free. You just click them and it teaches you how to use Word. It teaches you how to use Excel, all of the Microsoft suite of products. And all of these things are free. And if you're doing a job search right now, if you're in between jobs, these are the things that I would recommend just as free, quick upskilling. We had a student who started community college this last week, and her Reconnect navigator shared these classes because she was really nervous about writing a paper and all these other things. And classes started Monday, and she emailed her navigator and said she had earned 4 badges on the Goodwill Community Foundation site. So it does help you kind of quickly upskill, whether you're going back to class or you want to move into a different career pathway that's going to require more digital skills. And again, all of these links are active, so you can just click on them for more information later. One example of upskilling to move into a good paying career pathway is the Google IT Support Professional Certificate. And I added with the Python add-on because when we talk to employers, both in Rutherford County and across the region, employers loved the certification, but the Python add-on, which is just a quick certification that you can add on at the end of that certificate, was really what they needed to put you into those entry-level jobs. And we know in the recovery, there are a lot of IT positions that are open. A lot of employers are hiring for those jobs. So building on your certification will allow you to move into those. So if you look at this slide here, the Google IT Support certification is, I think you can spread it out over 6 months, but if you're not working, you can earn this in less than 6 months, in as little as 6 to 8 weeks for some people. And I put a screen grab of a tweet from Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. You can receive free access to these courses right now, but you have to be signed up on Jobs for TN by September 15th. So we are closing in on September 15th. We're going to talk about the American Job Center in just a second. If you are collecting unemployment benefits, you are already registered on Jobs for TN. And you just have to send an email to the Coursera email address that's on here. And I want to say that I set that up as, if you click on that tweet, it'll set up an email for you to send for them. So you just have to send an email and they'll set you up for those free courses on Coursera. In addition to the Google IT Support Professional Certification, you can do any of the other courses that are provided on Coursera. And Coursera is a platform for online learning. So you do have to have access to a computer and you do have to have internet. If you don't, I'd recommend going to your public library and using one of their computers, or some libraries allow you to check out digital resources. So, so I would recommend that if you don't have a computer at home. And if you have questions about the Google IT support certification, this link is active and takes you to a web page that tells you more about it. So, but this is just one way that you can onboard. And you can see at the bottom of this slide, these are some of the IT positions that this is a fit for. So troubleshooting, customer service. There are lots of employers who have call centers. But if you look at the IT pathway, you may start in a call center, but you can move into some of those higher level IT positions with just another certification. So stacking those certifications can build into other certifications, diplomas, and even associate's and bachelor's degrees. And the Google IT certificate has 12 ACE credits attached to it. So you can apply for prior learning credit at any of our community colleges and get credit towards a degree just by completing this certification. So lots of options. And this is just one example. There's lots of opportunity in Rutherford County in particular in several different pathways: logistics, advanced manufacturing, IT. Beth, help me out.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so IT, healthcare, manufacturing, construction, and supply chain management are all hiring. At last count on our jobs for TN, the Rutherford County site, we had 7,000 jobs available. So we have opportunities out there.
Yeah. So this is the slide where the resources live. So if you are interested in the Google IT certification or any other certificates related to supply chain, advanced manufacturing, any of those, make sure you're registered for Jobs for TN. That's an active link. The American Job Center is also a link to tn.gov that tells you that a little more in depth about the services of the AJC. So if you hear someone say AJC, they're talking about the American Job Center. It really is a resource center for you if you're a job seeker. Whether you're collecting unemployment or not, you can register on Jobs for TN and conduct a job search, take advantage of some of the basic services at an AJC. So they have job fairs, they have career coaches, they have WIOA scholarships that help pay for upskilling, reskilling, training, supplies, all sorts of things related to moving into a different career pathway. There's also connections to employers and resources, and they're also able to make referrals for other resources. So if you may qualify for SNAP or SNAP ENT or TANF, they can also make those referrals and help you get connected to services that you may need in addition to employment. The other two things I'll just touch on briefly are Tennessee Reconnect, which are scholarships for our Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology and our community colleges. And they are tuition scholarships. The other part of Reconnect is they provide free navigation services. So if you click on Navigate Reconnect, you'll be taken to an intake form, and that will allow you to have a Reconnect navigator who will help you along the pathway. So we'll help you get to college, and then we'll help you get through. So whatever that might mean, connection to resources, help with study, resources, tutoring. Sometimes when you go to school, you have a little come apart and we help you organize your feelings a little bit. So, you know, just having someone in your corner and a resource, almost like a touchstone where you can go and say, okay, here's what I've done. What do I need to do next? And so that's really how Navigate Reconnect helps people across the state of Tennessee. So whether you live in Rutherford County or if you live in another surrounding county or anywhere in Tennessee, you can access Navigate Reconnect resources. Just click on that icon and it will take you to the intake form. And then these are just some key takeaways here. Again, these links are also active. Knowing your aptitudes, we talked about that earlier, but as you can see, the Google IT certification may be a fit for you and you don't even know it. And UScience will allow you to identify maybe an aptitude in information technology that you didn't know you had. UScience is used a lot with high school students, but it also is applicable for adults. So it's used in several communities across Tennessee, including Rutherford County schools. We use it here in Nashville. And there's a couple other communities surrounding us who also use it. The American Job Center also has assessments they're able to give you. I always recommend, because I also teach career management, I recommend people take 2 to 3 different assessments, just to give you a whole picture. And you don't want to rely just on one thing to say, oh, now I'm going to be great at this, when you may have other things like temperament or work styles that you may prefer. Earlier, we talked about the idea of a career pathway and sort of stacking credentials. And so I recommend just being a lifelong learner and always educating yourself in the workplace if your employer gives you the opportunity to upskill, but also outside of the workplace. When I found those free classes, which is the digital skills are key, when I discovered those classes, it really opened a door for many of our reconnectors, because they struggle with being able to write a paper or being able to do their accounting homework in Excel. And those classes help you upskill yourself. And learning in a self-paced way yourself helps you build confidence. And so as you complete those free digital classes, you're building your own confidence and your own abilities in those programs. The other thing, and I put this on almost every presentation, check your email and read stuff. Please, I beg you, read your email. Oftentimes the answer is in the materials you already have. So whether you're taking a class or you are looking for a job or anything like that, read stuff. I know when I am upset about something or mad or anything like that, I'm not seeing the words that I'm supposed to be reading. So I just encourage you to make sure you're checking your email regularly, that you are reading the things that people send you. If you decide to start the Google IT certification, read stuff. Like, read the instructions really carefully. If you have questions, make sure that you ask those. If you don't know the answer, look for the help icon on any page and you can always ask someone. So, and reach out for your lifelines. Reach out to your career coach at the AJC, the American Job Center, or if you have a navigator, reach out to your navigator. Careers are journeys, which sounds so existential and whatever, but they really are. And I think any of us who look back on our careers, when I was 22 and graduated from college, I never could have imagined the path that my career took, but it was just that. And at every step I built more and more, whether it was going back to school or completing my bachelor's degree or completing a master's degree or whatever you choose to do along that pathway. It really is, they really are building blocks. And so if you think of it like that, then you can continue to grow in your career and take advantage of advancement opportunities with your employer or with other employers. So just think about that when you think about upskilling, that you're always extending and opening up new pathways. And the final thought I will leave you with, as someone who has conducted a job search while I did not have a job, a little discomfort is all right. Sometimes you're offered opportunities that you think, well, I don't think I can do that. Someone else may recognize something in you that you don't see. And so a little discomfort is all right. I had actually a Reconnect navigator who worked for me a couple of years ago, and she was about 4 days into the job of learning how to be a navigator, and she had a contract in training. And she smacked her hands down on the table and she was like, I cannot do this. And I very calmly, her name was Edith, and I very calmly said, Edith, this is your day. Let's talk about this in 6 months. So I think that that we forget when we're challenging ourselves and working outside of our comfort zone that it takes time for us to settle into new skills. So being uncomfortable is okay. Hating it is another thing, but being a little uncomfortable is totally fine. So as you go through your upskilling and reskilling, just recognize you're not going to start out as an expert. It's going to take a little bit of time. In Rutherford County, your American Job Center is on Old Fort Parkway. The phone number is there, and you can call that number for information to see if you pre-qualify for WIOA scholarships or anything like that. You do need to make an appointment to go to the AJC. So just call that number and they can assist you. I think you can leave a message, or hopefully you'll get an in-person person to talk.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually have a couple of questions. So can you talk a little bit about, for those that might be considering returning to school, with your conversations that you've had with your navigators, what are some of the biggest barriers that our folks that are listening in might be experiencing, and some advice on helping getting over some of those beyond what you've talked about? I'm thinking about childcare and transportation and connectivity, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so those are all barriers that students are facing. If you're returning to community college, our community colleges have done a pretty good job of identifying resources for students. So if you don't have a laptop and you see that as a barrier, I would check in with your community college to see if you may qualify. Some of the resources that are available include a laptop and maybe a hotspot. Your libraries are a great technology resource. The other thing that a lot of reconnectors are talking about is just not feeling academically prepared. They haven't been in school in a long time, and returning to school is stressful because you're also sitting next to a 17-year-old who seemingly knows how to use all the computers. So I think those are some of the things that people are saying. Some people have food insecurity and need help, whether they're on campus or in another screening program. So the AJCs are equipped to connect you to resources. And so I would definitely ask about those. In terms of academic resources, Reconnect navigators are great. If you are planning to return to school, definitely get a navigator, because you don't know you need them until you need them. So those are some of the tips that I would recommend, but definitely the AJC has connection to resources in your community. So they know, if there's a nonprofit that's helping with childcare, or they know that the Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA is offering childcare during school hours so that you can go to school to upskill or whatever. So those are the things that I see most of all.
And can you talk a little bit about the Reconnect scholarships? You mentioned that those are last dollar scholarships. What does that mean to someone that maybe hasn't been in that thought process for a while?
So in order to qualify for a Reconnect scholarship, as Beth said, it's a last dollar. So you complete the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, and then your level of need is determined. So if you qualify for a Pell Grant and then maybe some of the state scholarships, you may not need a Reconnect grant because it is last dollar. It's similar to the Tennessee Promise in that it covers tuition and regular fees, and it's done at the school. So you would never get a refund from a Reconnect grant, but it would cover your regular tuition and fees. Lots of our schools offer scholarships for books, so they're able to help us get to those resources for students. And then WIOA, or Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act dollars, can also be available if you qualify. So that's why I say get a navigator, because it helps you sort of figure out where all of those funding sources are to help you get what you need. But the Tennessee Reconnect grants are last dollar for the TCATs or community colleges.
Great. And I'll just put a plug in for our friends at Western Governors University who are hosting us on their WebEx platform today. So for those of you that may have some college but have never completed your bachelor's degree, Western Governors University, which you can find at wgu.gov/Tennessee, has the ability to help you complete your degree. And it's based, again, on your timetable. So you can complete your work as quickly as you have time to do it. And for those that have that may be looking for a job at the moment, you may have a little extra time. And it's very reasonable in cost. The areas that they focus on in at WGU Tennessee include business applications, nursing, and education. So check out wgu.edu/Tennessee for more information on that. And Laura, at this time, I don't have any other questions. Or there's anything parting that you would like to share with us?
I think just bringing home that idea that your career is a continuum and you can upskill along the way, whether it's every 6 months or every 2 to 5 years. Just, take advantage of those opportunities to add another credential to your resume so that you can build in jobs. And the first 15 people to email can get a free code for UScience. So I'll, as you email me, I'll send those out.
And just a plug for UScience. Normally, that's about a $30 fee if you went to uscience.com. And it's not a science test, it's the science of you. So it's a series of brain games that you play on your computer. And I've had people say, well, I'm not really good at anything. Everybody is good at something. And that's why I love this tool, is that it helps you really see whether you're 30, 60, or 13, really understand what you are good at and makes you feel good about yourself. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity that Laura is providing.
Yeah. And all of the links are active in the presentation. So Beth will email this out to all the participants. So you can access any of the resources we talked about today.
Great. Well, Laura, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of those that joined us live. We will be posting this recording in the next couple of days on our Facebook and YouTube sites. And again, we'll be forwarding information from Laura's presentation, some information about the American Job Center, and a short survey, as well as a link to our Meet the Employer opportunities beginning next week. Thank you all and have a great day.